Kyle, I'd love to hear more about like, what you've been hearing from people in Sacramento. I don't know, maybe you covered it all, but what's that look like?
You mean people like fans?
Yeah, fans, like what do you think the reception's gonna be?
I think that it's gonna do well in Sacramento.
I
There
think
is
so too.
I still live in the Bay Area, but I spent a ton of time in Sacramento. I went to school up there. I lived there for a long time. So and I work there now. Um, so Sacramento, I think will embrace anything Sacramento. Like they just if people love that city, there's an immense amount of civic pride that comes with it, and you put the Kings ownership group out front of this thing, calling it, yeah, hey, it's the not officially the Sacramento A's, but look, it's another major
It's
league team
the
here.
A's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
just
The A's.
yeah.
Um, so I think that it'll gain a lot of traction, and I think that they will. I think that ballpark's going to do fine. Like it's a beautiful ballpark. It's got a great view of downtown,
Yeah.
and the Tower Bridge. And it's a good. Like I've been to River Cats games. It's a really good spot to watch a game. And I don't think there's enough people with the amount of vitriol towards John Fisher that we all have there to say no. I'm sure there are some A's fans who are from Sacramento who are going, I will never support that guy. I will never go. But I think there's a ton of people who are Giants fans, Cubs fans, Yankees fans, whatever. Or just people who are like, yeah, hey, I've not gotten to take my kid to Major League Baseball because we can't make the trek out to the Bay Area, so we're just going to go to 15 games a year.
Yeah.
I think it's going to do fine in Sacramento. If Sacramento wants to be a major league city, I think it's going to acquit itself well in that regard. So for the city itself, I'm pretty optimistic about this venture, and I see why Vivek wanted the scoop and score, but um, I know, like I said, I won't unless my professional obligations require it. I'm
Yeah.
personally not going, but it seems like a lot of people were pretty excited about it today. So
Yeah.
I think
And
that's kind of where it's
you
at.
know, I think if we want to talk about how this ended up happening with the Oakland sort of, I think, way overestimating sort of what they could try and get from the A's to stay in Oakland. I think maybe another thing that they didn't recognize was how bad the attendance is right now in Oakland. It is terrible. And obviously, there's
Hmm.
no one to blame but John Fisher and Dave Cavill for that. But
Right.
like, they've pulled their pants down and taken a big shit all over their lunch. And Oakland's like, hey, do you want to, we'd love for you to keep eating that lunch. They're like, I mean, they had like 3,500 people at a Red Sox. I mean, I know it's early, I know it was during the week, but even on Sunday they
It's the
had
Red
like
Sox, dude.
4,000. But it's the Red Sox. It's the
Yeah.
Red Sox.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like
they had
I
45,000 people in over 7 games. I mean, a lot of opening days were more than that, and they had that over a 7 game homestand. It's like
Brutal.
64. It was like 6,400 fans a game is what they're averaging right now. So
So
it's
the Red Sox games, man. Those.
yeah,
I mean, I
yeah,
know from vending. Like I know when to get excited about games. And obviously it's not the Yankees, but when the schedule used to come out, and I was thinking, where where do I want to make sure that I'm not out of town for? Like what am I going to make the most money at? Right behind Giants and Yankees was Red Sox,
Hmm.
and they had 3,500 people there. So I
I
think
think it was like I
sure.
think it was like 5 or 6 or something like that for these ones. It was like 3,500 for the Guardians last week, something like that. But I'm pretty sure,
Okay,
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought that maybe it was an old. I was reading the attendance, that a sheet from that right field Will
yeah, yeah.
found.
Hmm.
Maybe that was like for a day earlier, right? But it was 4,000, 5,000 people. It's terrible. So if you're Dave Cavill and John Fisher, you're saying, okay, we're gonna have to take a 20 or 30 million dollar haircut from Comcast here,
Hmm.
but I think that they were thinking, but we're going to be guaranteed 12,000 people a
Yep.
game, after they build some extra seats in Sacramento. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think that, yeah, I think people are going to be fine with it, especially
So
knowing,
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah.
The
especially knowing that this is not their team, like, oh, this is our rental team, but
Mhm.
then we're gonna get a major league team. So let's go and support it, blah blah blah.
So I do think that the first year I definitely think that's the case because right now to clear what they're averaging at the Coliseum, I mean they would they could eliminate the grass seats out in the
They
outfield
could
and
just
just
have
have
fixed
the
seats. Yeah.
10,600 fixed seats and probably do better than they do at the Coliseum from a raw attendance standpoint.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that's true for year one and maybe even part of year two. But at some point, you're talking 81 home dates a year. It gets hot in Sacramento
Yeah.
during the summer months, like very, very hot. And okay, hey, year one, 2025, maybe people are taking their kids out of school for that 12:37 first pitch in April or May.
Yeah.
yeah,
But come year three, when they're continuing to roll out the lowest payroll in baseball, and there's no players anybody recognizes, and they go through another offseason of going, oh, hey, the A's didn't do any moves in free agency. Oh,
Yeah.
that player that my kid just bought a jersey for just got traded. Like, oh, I don't want to do like so.
Yeah.
It just like I said, year one, the novelty of it, great. Year two, maybe even with the optimism that it can't be as bad as last year. And at some point, it's going to settle in that like, yo, this guy isn't going to come to They don't want to be in Sacramento. They want to be in Vegas.
Yeah.
They didn't pick Sacramento because wow, look at the potential here. They went to Las Vegas because Oakland went, hey, you're not gonna fuck us again. Here's this list of demands to stay here.
Yeah.
And Sacramento went, hey, we'll pay. I'm sure Vivek is going to pay for the needed upgrades on the lights and the extra clubhouse. I don't think
yeah.
John Fisher is footing a cent for that. So that's why they're in
No,
Sac. They're
Is
not
it
there
is it
because
like an ego trip? Do you think it's like an ego trip move for Vivek? Like he's like the savior of Sacramento. Like, I kept the NBA and I'm bringing MLB. Do you feel like
um
that's part of it too?
yeah,
Or what?
maybe he bought the River Cats.
Yeah.
He owns that
Yeah.
stadium and that plot of land. So I do think that there's some vision for him and he's said this out loud. This is not a secret that he would love to have another major league team in Sacramento, especially the way the MLS stuff went down there where they had expansion like signed,
yeah,
sealed, delivered, and then the money fell through. And now they're off the list for expansion, or at least they're down the list for expansion. So yeah, I think there's a little bit of it there, but I also think that there are people in Sacramento right now who are fooling themselves a little bit into thinking that just because they're leaving the city of Oakland, that suddenly everything's going to get better from a roster building standpoint and a financial standpoint. It's like, no, the goal here and the impetus behind everything John Fisher does is to make as much money as humanly possible, which means spending as little money as
Mhm.
humanly possible. That's been the case and it's still going to be the case. And at some point, maybe it takes more than 3 years, so maybe they'll be okay. But I think at some point during those 3 years, I think people are going to catch wind of that and you'll see that attendance dip.